Hi there. This week I'll take you to 3 stations in the leafy, luxurious commuter belt between Belfast and Bangor. These 3 stations were all closed at various times before, unusually, reopening due to public pressure for different lengths of time, and this is their story. The first of them is Marino, which was opened 150 years ago by the Belfast, Holywood and Bangor Railway in December 1870. Apparently, according to an unverified claim in Wikipedia that I'll repeat anyway because I like it, it was built on land once occupied by a Benedictine monastery. And the red brick building in these photos, which has since been extended, is the station master's house, complete with its proud occupant in the foreground. Marino was one of the BCDR's garden stations and as such was a source of great pride to its staff as well as a regular subject for local photographers. These ornate buildings on the Belfast platform, which are now long gone, were essentially a second station for city-bound travellers, containing a booking office, staff quarters and a waiting room.
Attention please. Passengers are advised that it is compulsory to wear face coverings while using our services. Face coverings must be worn for the duration of your journey, ensuring they fully cover both the nose and the mouth of the wearer. Thank you for your cooperation.
But the Ulster Transport Authority, the enemy of railway travellers in Northern Ireland, closed Marino in 1957, by which time the station master's house was privately occupied anyway. But under public pressure, they reopened the station as a halt in 1960. And as an aside, I'm glad they didn't clear away this lovely original lamp, which the owner told me has been there since the very start. Cultra Station, the next one up the line, was originally opened at the same time as the Bangor branch itself in 1865. The brief to the railway company from the landowners was that the new station had to be of an ornamental character, as befitting the salubrious surroundings, and at least half of the trains every day had to stop there, or else the company would attract a £10 penalty, over £1,200 in today's money. Initially, like many Victorian stations, it only had one platform, but when the second one was added later, the patrons got a covered footbridge, and according to railway nerd legend, this was the only one on the County Down network. But as I've said before, I don't agree with that. I think Sydenham, only 5 stations away, had one too, as this photo suggests. But regardless, there's no such luck for the weather-beaten station patrons today. The station building with which we're familiar is not actually the original one. Charles Lanyon, who was responsible for most architectural projects in the north of Ireland at the time, built the original station at Cultra in a Tudor red brick style, so probably not too dissimilar to the other designs at Craigavad, which I'll get to in a minute, or the first station at Bangor. But thanks to an 1896 arson attack, a new station building was required, and so the railway company replicated the design of their new station at Tullymurray, itself a replacement for an old station, but for a different reason. The new building didn't serve as a station for very long, as early as 1934, Cultra was reduced from a station to a halt, and the station buildings were sold to a private buyer. Then, in 1957, and like Marino, the Ulster Transport Authority closed the station. Trains still ran along the line, but now if you wanted to alight at any point between Holywood and Helens Bay, well, tough. And like its sister station, Cultra would eventually reopen, but would have to wait much longer for its reprieve. It's doubtful that, without the opening of the nearby Ulster Folk Museum, the station would ever have seen trains stop once again. But in 1993, the station's case was strengthened when the new Transport Museum, on the same site as the Folk Museum, brought Ireland's largest locomotive collection from its predecessor at Witham Street, if anyone remembers that, to their new home, including the only BCDR engine left, number 30, which ran along its old tracks for the first time in at least 43 years. Having been vacated in about 1970 for reasons unknown, Cultra's splendid station house became the target of vandals and graffiti artists, as well as urban photographers with Mazda MX-5s, with no sign of rescue in sight. But thankfully, in 2017, a consortium of, among others, Cultra architect of choice Des Ewing set about transforming the old station complex into a new development, with the house itself the centrepiece. Our third and final station is Craigavad, close to Royal Belfast Golf Club, and another Charles Lanyon design, in the style of his station at Bangor, with the red brick accented by narrow arched windows, although obviously the Craigavad version is much smaller. Unusually, the Belfast platform housed the local post office, also run by the station master, which possibly explains why he looks so aggrieved here. Craigavad is the odd station out in this video, as, although like the other two it did close and reopen, it was subsequently reclosed for good, except for occasional special trains for Boy Scouts and Girl Guides who were going to nearby Lorne House. And the station was replaced, sort of, by the nearby Sea Hill, which opened in 1966. And like Marino and Cultra, the station building has long since passed into private hands. You can still climb these stairs to reach the Belfast platform, on which the north-facing wall isn't quite as pleasant to behold as it once was, having been bricked over long ago to give the house's occupants privacy from gawking train passengers, or, for that matter, gawking YouTubers. I wasn't really sure if this was private property or not. It probably is, but while I was at it, I realised that you can still see the remains of the old Bangor platform across the tracks, with those distinctive diamond cross tiles poking out of the gravel. Meanwhile, back at ground level are what I assume are railway workers' cottages, dating from 1875, so 10 years after the station opened. If I'm wrong in this assumption, or indeed anything else I've said in this video, please let me know in the comments. Well, that's us for another one. I hope you enjoyed this tale of three stations. There are others on the line that I could have covered, like Tillysburn, Victoria Park, Crawfordsburn, but maybe I'll get to those some other time. As ever, if you like my videos, please let YouTube know by liking, commenting and subscribing, and I'll see you the next time.